What's up, guys? It's me. I'm back, and today we're going to do something a bit different. This is going to be the start of a mini series, I guess. It's probably going to consist of about 3 episodes, and the first one, well, this is the first one. But as you can see, we're going through my old sketchbook to find something that I made a long time ago. And here we have found it. This comic page is the third of an anthology of a little chapter that was about 4 pages long, which, at least in this version. There had been two versions of this little comic chapter. One that was for the original version of it called Down Under, which is basically just a glorified fanfiction for Undertale, and Soulbound, where I kind of shifted the universe and made it less of a fanfiction and more of just an inspiration. So then I started to. But the original version for Down Under got, well, I put it out in Rage. And this second version that you just saw me look at is a version that has been lost. I only have one page left, and as you can probably tell, it looks like they've all fallen out, since that page is actually being held together with tape. But today I'm going to be working on starting the process of redrawing this page. Well, these pages. It's going to be a small batch of pages that kind of encompass what the original story was about in that first mini chapter. What I'm doing right now is, of course, some prep work. I'm just going to be trying to get the style down and the character designs for the two characters that are actually going to be in this chapter. There was a third character, but she did not appear until the second chapter, and I might have even been to the third chapter when she appeared. I don't know how long the first page chapter is going to be, but I decided to split it into 2 videos, and then I'll have a third video where I will read out the chapter to you. The main story of this comic is basically that, this girl, Sky, who is a murderer, kills her friend, Adam. Well, they're not friends. Kills a kid named Adam, and she runs away from home, and she ends up finding a portal on top of a mountain, and she enters the portal, and then she enters a new world. Although, of course, this chapter is just going to encompass up to her going into the portal, and that's where it's going to end. But, of course, I might continue this if I get any response out of this. I don't know. If I feel like it. And it also depends on how much work this actually needs. As you can see, as you could tell before, my design wasn't exactly very good. My design progress wasn't very good at all. The original design for Sky, our main character, had blonde hair, as she was basically me. Um, but Adam has a little bit of a different vibe. And I wanted to implement most of his design, except I wanted to change his shirt to like a different shirt because it's just very basic. And Sky, I just basically left her alone, except I used a future iteration where she has brown hair instead. You may have spotted a little part where she had black hair, and that would be something that happens after she enters the portal, where her soul activates in a certain way and it makes her hair black. The idea behind her being a murderer is that in her head there is a separate entity. She has two souls instead of one. And the idea was that this was because, well, I don't think I actually know why it happened. I don't think I ever decided that. But she has two souls blended together. They are one person, technically, but the second one is more of a protection. It's a protector. It comes out when she needs help, and it is very violent. In the first chapter, Adam attacks her as she is a known murderer around the town, and he hates that she is outside at the time. So he tries to attack her and kill her or whatever. I don't know. I don't know his intentions. I didn't write him. Um, but then, of course, her other side comes out and kills him. And she murders him. She just straight up murders him. And that's the kickoff for the start of the story. Then she runs away because obviously she's going to be arrested for murder. And then she goes up this mountain and enters a cave and finds a portal. And that's how it starts. In the original, it was kind of. In the original, for one, they were in elementary school and it actually took place in a playground. So, in that she actually had a weapon in that version where she took pole out of the chain link fence, like the top like support pole, and stabbed him through the stomach, and that's what killed him. And then in the second version, as you saw, she instead ripped his arm off, which made him bleed out. I added a little bit more to that, but that's basically the basis for what I used for this version, because that is the version that I actually drew, and apparently I drew it twice. I just love drawing that murder scene. And I actually use that sketchbook that I wrote, that I drew the original pages in. It's just that they don't exist anymore. The pages were ripped out a long time ago. And I now use it for different comic work, for Thumbnailing's 9 Lives. You should go read that in the in the comments, in the description below. Anyway, with that, uh, I don't really know how to explain the whole soul thing to you, other than I had some old art that kind of showed it. I don't think I ever like landed on an explanation other than that it was evil and a protection mechanism. But I decided, I know that originally I called it the depression soul, but that didn't make any fucking sense because she was born with it. So, ah, so it didn't make any sense at all. But of course, we have other stuff here. So Adam's soul is bravery. And the whole point was that he was the only person brave enough to like attempt to confront her. But of course it backfired because she killed him. So also, Sky's second soul, the one that she technically embodies, it was the blue soul of kindness. And that's what she has, because she's a sweet little girl when she's not murdering people. And there is a third character whose name is Kiara, and she is a combination of Kara and Betsy from Glitch Tale, or Betty. Her name is Betty. Betty from Glitch Tale. In the fact that, well, for one, she comes in, she is a soul that gets attached to Sky when she enters the portal, and that's who she is, and she monitors her, and well, Adam also does that, but that's for a different reason. That's for a completely different reason. Adam is also here. Adam does not disappear. He doesn't just get murdered and thrown to the side. He gets murdered and is there till the end. It's great. But for for Kiara, her soul is fear. And the way that that one works is that she also has a protective mechanism, but unlike Sky's, who I believe who's is triggered by like pain, Kiara's is triggered by fear. So any sort of fear, and it comes out and tries to protect her, which causes a lot of issues and causes her eventual death. I don't know how. I believe Kiara is much younger than the others. I think she's supposed to be 12. But the others are, well, Kiara is 13, and Adam is 16, and Sky is 15. So that was the ages for the characters. Although, of course, as I said in the original, they were elementary students, so they were like probably like 7 and 8, while Kiara was about like 5 years old. So it was it was a big drastic change to that. I used to draw Sky in a sweater, but I believe that the idea, if I remember the script correctly, she doesn't get the sweater until she's already in the other dimension, because she meets a Toriel type person, because obviously, you know, fan fiction, who disappears after the second chapter, obviously. But then she gives her the sweater, and that's kind of some of her like trying to leave behind her old world, her past, and Adam is in her head antagonizing her because she killed him. And he's like, "Why'd you do that to me?" What did I do to you? Why would you do that to me? And she's like, well, you hit me. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. And he's like, fuck you. So, and Kiara is a mediator between the two of them because, you know, three people in one head kind of gets a little chaotic. I remember the idea for the comic was that I would put there would be a mind realm where all three of them could hang out together, and they hung out together while she was asleep. So when she fell asleep, she entered this dream world, and she and Kiara and Adam would be able to hang out and talk to each other, as well as Sky could see the two of them in mirrors and other reflective surfaces, and they could talk to her within her head, and they could hear all of her thoughts, obviously. So she could just think and talk, have conversation with them, even if she's with somebody else, also having conversation with them. It was a bit strange, but I really did like that concept when I was writing this when I was writing the script. And of course, writing the rest of the script was a bit like scary. The script isn't exactly very child friendly, as being an Undertale fanfiction would suggest. As, of course, I mean, all the murder aside, I believe it's the last chapter that I wrote for the comic that I like kind of just left it off on and never actually continued writing scripting despite having more ideas for it to continue. Sky would just try to kill herself and it and that was back in the Undertale version. So it ended with Papyrus and Sans coming to save her life because she tried to kill herself. Ah! And I tried so hard to redeem this girl who you saw murder somebody the first second first second you enter the comic series, and it's just like I put so much effort into this, and I gave up so quickly. I kind of wish that I had tried to do more. Like I could have at least gone to that chapter. I think that was chapter 5. That probably was chapter 5, where just so much chaos happened because like there were a lot of story beats where it was like in there. For one, I made it so that Sans wasn't as lazy as he is in the game, and he actually does care about capturing humans. And so, the way that you meet the two of them was that him and Pyrus would try to kill you. Well, kill Sky. Fuck. that was they would try to kill her. In a very um. Okay, so the way that she ends up meeting them is that for one, when she enters the portal, she finds the Toriel character. I don't remember her name. I don't remember what I named her afterwards. I don't know. I'm just gonna call her Toriel for now. She met Toriel, and Toriel took her home into, the room and gave her a sweater that she would wear and put on. And in that room, she realized Adam and Kiara were in her head, and she met them and they had a conversation. And then before Sky finally went to sleep, this would also introduce the concept of Kiara being able to control Sky's body if she wanted to. Adam does not have this ability, but Kiara does. So Kiara would, do a couple things, but then Sky would go to sleep, and she would wake up to the two of them screaming in her head. And it turns out, in her sleep, her soul had activated and started floating them down into the sky. And it was like she was just on a random chair, and I feel like it'd be make more sense if it was her bed that was floating instead. And while in the sky, Sans and Papyrus attack her, and she ends up falling and on a frozen lake, and she falls off a cliff, and they have to save her, but like she's bleeding out, so she passes out, and that's chapter 2. I think that's literally it for like no, that's chapter 3. That's chapter 3. Is it? I don't know, man. Probably chapter 3, because if the whole like conversation and meeting Toriel would happen in chapter 2, then chapter 3 would make more sense to just end there, I guess. I don't know, man. It's been a while. I don't even have these scripts anymore. I lost them. I lost Soulbound years ago, but I recently lost Down Under too, so I don't have either of them. So I don't fucking know. But I do know that Kiara would wake her up and she would be in Feast's place with Sans. And I don't know where my man was, but he kind of left. Like Papyrus left. And then there'd be another like big like um confrontation when Undyne came in. And Sky would try to kill Undyne with her soul, obviously, and Kiara would be the one to stop her, being terrified and finally getting the power to take her over. And Sky would run into the woods, and Papyrus would come to try and kill her too, because he was like, "Don't kill my friend. You tried to kill my friend." Because he doesn't understand, obviously, because she didn't tell him. But Sans comes in and protects her. She feels really bad about it, and then Sky goes and tries to kill herself. And then she wakes up. The three of them have a conversation, and I believe they take her home, and that's like where it ended. There was a little bit more afterwards, but it wasn't really much other than just walking and talking. And I don't really know where it was gonna go afterwards. I don't know. I really don't know what I was gonna do with it. Because I didn't do anything with it. Anyway, where we are currently in this little drawing session, I've already finished all of the character turnarounds. Fun fact about the character turnarounds, I have yet to do any character turnarounds. Oh no, I did one. For 9 lives, I have one character turnaround for 9 lives, and it's only 3. It's only a quarter and a side view, and there's no back view for the... No, is there? No, there's a front view, a side view, and a back view? Maybe? I think so. But for this comic, I decided to do, actual proper turnaround. And then some backgrounds, because these were just some basic ideas from some references of like small town buildings. I decided to go for like a grungy brick theme and for most of the buildings, and then have a couple more that were a little bit more fancy. And I stylized the trees. They were adorable. And we have the mountain that she climbs up with a path on it. There is a map that I had drawn up, but I didn't really care to draw them up here because it was just, I could just pull out my sketchbook and look at it. But anyway, we're closing in on the end of this video. If you did like this video, then please check out some of my other videos. Subscribe to me. Thank you. We're about to hit 100K. 100K? 100 subs. Like right now. Right now, as I'm recording this, we're at 99. We might actually be already 100 when you see this video. I don't know, but if we aren't, be that 100 subscriber. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you do like this video, then save it so you can watch the second one. And goodbye!